All right, what's happening, YouTube? Welcome back to the vlog. So I thought I'd incorporate a little bit of my training footage just because everybody seems to be curious what I'm doing to train for hunting in general, and in particular, my upcoming sheep hunt. So I will say this right now, I do a ton of different stuff for physical fitness, aesthetics, all kinds of stuff. Not all of it is necessary and or warranted. So I've said it before and I will say it again. The only thing that you absolutely have to do, in my opinion, for training for the backcountry is backpack cardio. So this is my favorite tool. It's the Outdoorsman's Atlas Trainer. The reason I like it is it's super simple. So I just load up a 45-pound plate. Now, lots of people think they need to carry more weight. I disagree. I think the long-term wear and tear on your body is not worth the short-term benefit of being comfortable carrying bigger loads. And I think psychologically, once you pass 45 feels like 75, feels like 85. And once you get up into 100, there's no way to get used to carrying that kind of weight. It's gonna beat the shit out of you no matter what you do. So we're gonna do a hike. I got my dog Pickle here. That's Pickle.
I'm not sure I understand.
He's a golden doodle. He's a pretty badass dude. This trail is up the back of Burnaby Mountain. It's either called the Velodrome Trail or the Japanese Stairs, depending on who you ask. I'll post the stats when I'm done. I'll use my watch. I think it's 3.5 miles. Usually takes me about an hour and 20 minutes. Burns something like 1,000 calories. It is a challenging trail with 45 pounds. But the nice part is it kind of goes up and down and up and down. Maybe elevation is about 1,000 feet over the course of the whole thing, and then you come back down the whole way to the parking lot. But like the hard parts are kind of split up a little bit, so you get a chance to recover in between. So anyways, going back to what I was saying about training, I think doing something like this 3 times a week, if you do that for 2 months before any regular hunt and you're in anywhere approaching decent shape before that, I think you'll be totally fine. The rest of it is all a mental battle. Now, you'll also notice it's raining right now. A lot of people ask, why would you train in the rain? Well, if we hunt in the rain, we train in the rain. I also don't wear rain gear when I train in the rain because I want to be used to getting wet and cold in a safe environment. I can go hike for an hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to wear the cool engineered hoodie, and then when I'm done, I can hop in the nice warm truck and I don't need to worry about it. And it just helps build up that psychological toughness so that when it's shitty and raining on the hunt, it's something that I'm used to doing. The one thing I will always do is wear a hat. I hate the sensation of raindrops on my head. The rest of my body, I don't give a shit. My head, I can't stand it. So as long as I got a hat, I'm fine. I think that's it. I'll try and take some footage during the hike, and like I say, I'll share the stats at the end of the hike so you can get an idea of the type of intensity that I'm doing a few times a week. All right, let's do this. All right, we made it back. Let's go through the stats here. So it was 1 hour and 35 minutes. I went 3.9 miles. I burned 926 calories. Elevation gain of 935 feet. Average mile pace of 24:21. An average heart rate of 129, with the highest being 167. So that's pretty terrible for me. 135. I can normally do this in an hour and 20 minutes, so it's about 15 minutes over my time. Something very interesting happened though. It wasn't my cardio, my calves kept cramping. Cramping is also a bad word. It was like, anybody who's ever had like a lower back pump in the gym that's like super painful, sometimes I get the same thing in my calves. Also, just to be completely transparent, it's coming off all the compounds from the bodybuilding show. Those things take months to like completely clear out. So I've been kind of trying to grow muscle with my body and get a pump in the muscles you can't just kind of shut that off overnight. So on the way up, about every 10 minutes, I would have to stop for 2 or 3 minutes and kind of let the swelling in my calves and my ankles go down and then continue on. So that's actually a good sign to me. It means in another week or two, when that's cleared out of my system, my cardio is actually in a decent place and I'll be on my pace for hour 20 for this particular training hike, which is great news. Other piece of great news, that cool engineered hoodie was phenomenal in the rain. It's raining pretty good right now. I don't know if you can hear it if I open the door, but like it's 10 degrees Celsius. It's raining pretty solid, like real common, like September wet day. Like this would be, obviously it's not September now, but it's very, you know, similar to what a wet September day would be. And I would hunt in that shirt all day, man. I was warm. I wasn't clammy. It dried out really fast every time the rain would let up for a little bit. It's thick enough that I can't feel the individual water droplets hitting me. Overall, super impressed. I'll try and wear the Lululemon one next time, just so we can get kind of a compare and contrast between the two. But that's it for training day. We'll try and get some prep footage of how I get ready for the hunt this week, and maybe even a little bit of e-scouting footage, so stay tuned. All right, so as I mentioned earlier in the video, I wanted to spend a little time talking about my pre-game tactics or my setup regimen, how I get ready to go out each week. Now, in principle, this is the kind of same for a big trip as it is for a little trip. And the funny part is, I'm actually gonna start one step before that, which is kind of like preparing your environment so that you can be as effective and efficient as possible, which is exactly what I am not right now. So for some context, I kind of have the basement of my house to myself. You know, it's basically like a TV room, and then this half of the basement, one half is a studio and the other half is my garage / gear room. And I kind of use these two areas in conjunction with each other to get ready. So first of all, here's the studio. So you guys have seen this backdrop lots before. It's not a particularly large room, actually. It's kind of long and skinny. There's my weird cat. Now, I don't like this table full of stuff like it is right now, because I typically use this as the staging area. So I would write a list, I would go into my gear room, and I would slowly take everything on that list out of that room and place it on the floor out here, checking it off the list as I go. Then when I look at everything on the floor, double check it with my list, and I'm good to go. Now, I normally try and do that at least 24 hours before I have to pack up, because I found there's this magical thing that happens. Once I pull everything out and put it on the floor, I'll be walking around 4, 6, 8 hours later the next day, laying in bed, and I'll get this like flash, and I'll be like, oh shit, that one thing or whatever isn't in the pile. And if I leave it to last minute to put it out on the floor, it's like I don't leave myself that like room to remember what I might have forgotten. And giving myself at least 24 to 48 hours before I leave to have those little aha moments has proven indispensable in staying organized. However, I kind of can't even do those steps right now, and I'll tell you why. Number one, this place looks like a mess, so I don't even have room to lay the stuff out that I want to. And number two, here's the state of my gear room. All right? Like, I can barely walk around in here. Like, it's nuts. So let's talk about that for a minute. Like, why is this the case, and why does this happen, and what can I do to kind of like rectify it? This is just a function of being busy as hell. So one of the things is I've been trying to go out every week. So typically I would have a half a day or a day a week to like kind of stay on top of this stuff. When you're doing a bunch of trips back to back to back, nothing ever gets put away perfectly. And so you end up with like a little bit of spillover. And I haven't taken the time to put everything away. So The solution I have come up with is at least every time I come home from the field, and I showed this in the first vlog we did a couple weeks ago, I put everything in one tote. And then I know as long as I take that tote back out with me, I'm gonna have everything that I need. But it kind of stresses me out when this room is this messy because I don't know if I'm missing things. I don't know where everything is. And it's just, I always like to say, if you want to feel organized on the inside, then be organized on the outside. And having this much kind of chaos just makes me feel cluttered and lack focus on the inside. So I will be taking some time tomorrow morning, hopefully before I leave, to tidy this up a little bit. And even if I don't, at least I know everything in this tote. As long as I've got everything that I put in there last week to head out this week, I won't forget anything mission critical. And like I said before, the notes that I keep on my phone week to week are my little reference. So for example, let's take a quick look and see what I wrote down for this week that would be different from what I had last week. A GoPro window mount. I want to do a little bit of time-lapse footage on my drive down the highway. I've thought about it a couple weeks in a row, and that mount is in my camera caddy over here. Arca adapter for spotter. I was using so many different spotters for the review. I took my Zeiss spotter out when I was in the field last week, and I'd removed the adapter plate off the bottom of it so I couldn't mount it on the tripod. Now, I do have an Arca Swiss adapter on the bottom of my phone. I did have an Allen wrench set on my Leatherman in my possible pouch. I could have switched it all over, but the basin I was looking at wasn't really that large, and my 12 power NL Pures were totally fine. And then the other notes that I wanted to remember from the couple trips are bug dope, cooler, brush saw, treat my boots, bring my license tags, and update my food a little bit, just because I normally just pack up my food in the morning. So that may not be the hyper detailed kind of pre-trip planning video you wanted, but I thought it actually made sense to just show you what the reality of the situation was right now. And before I can start any type of thorough and efficient planning, I need everything to be cleaned up and put away. Otherwise, I don't know where everything is. So it seemed like a bit of a coincidence, but this is actually where I would normally start anyways. I would clean my locker room, my gear locker, and then I would actually start loading up things off my gear list. So not sure when this will get tidied up. Maybe what I can do is before sheep hunting, I'll do a little pre-trip planning video because that'll be a little more thorough as well. The gear list for a day trip is fairly minimal, so it's kind of like a low impact, low risk gear list. When you're going in the backcountry for 15 days, that's a little more mission critical, and if you forget stuff, it can really shut you down. So that would probably be better content for that video anyways. So yeah, here you go. It's Thursday afternoon now. I gotta work all day. I'm gonna wake up extra early tomorrow morning, and I will pack up before I leave and then take my kid to school and head out to the bush. Should be on the road by 8:30, 8:45. Probably take me 2.5 hours to get where I'm going. It would be great if by 11:30 or 12 I had the quad unloaded and I was headed in the bush. So I'll keep you updated as I go. All right, I kind of bit off a little more than I could chew today, and we've been driving for almost 4 hours, but we're like 20 minutes from where we're getting out. And in 3 trips I've made to this area, this is the first bear sign I've seen. Here you go. So definitely pretty confident that's black bear shit. There's grizzly in this area as well, but grizzly shit tends to be a lot bigger, and I don't know, just the way this is dark and the nuggets are small, I'm feeling pretty confident that's black bear shit. So that's a very good sign. Who knows, maybe we'll stumble upon a bear here after all.
folks, we're hunting. So we drove for about 4 hours, quad for about half an hour. I'm gonna hike for about a half an hour. And I'm coming up to a big kind of incised crossing. And the area that I'm more interested in is on the far side, because I'm still relatively accessible to like a trail system on this side. So I think there's probably typically more pressure here. So I still got a good half hour, 45 minutes of hiking before I get into the country that I'm really interested in. But kind of cool country up here, you know, little broken meadows. Walking's not too bad. Not seeing a ton of sign yet, but you know, just trying to cover country and make some time. So yeah, let's see if we can turn up. I might have just found the most piles of bear shit I've ever seen in my life in one spot. It's a little freaky because you gotta figure, you know, bear's not too far away. They're peppered all over this little hilltop too. I'm on this little isolated mound right now. Weird. I've never seen anything quite like this. I wonder if there's a den nearby and if he hibernates nearby or something. This is all from this year. I also know when they come out of hibernation, they're really plugged up. And I think they have a bunch of shits right at the beginning. So maybe that's what this was. Definitely bears in the area though. So of all the places I've been this month, this place has the most sign for sure. Lots of game trails, bear shit everywhere, and I just found some nice fresh deer shit. Yeah, I'm liking the looks of this place the best for sure. All right, I finally found a spot for a cam placement that I was happy with. So let me give you the rundown. It's kind of like a funnel area into a little water hole. So this is where they're coming from. There's a pretty beat-in trail going right to the water hole. Cam is on the tree right there. And I brought a little mineral salt this week. I'd be interested to hear back from you guys. How many guys are salting mule deer cams and how many are not? I've had decent luck salting blacktail cams. I've never cammed for whitetail. Obviously you would with them. I didn't on my first round, but then I talked to a buddy who sets up quite a few trail cameras for mule deer, and he said he does. He's like, it can't hurt. And instead of hauling around the big bricks, I just got the powdered stuff and put it in a Ziploc bag and put maybe a cup or two and like tried to like kick it into the ground good first and then put a little pile on top just so that if the rain comes, it doesn't instantly wash it away. Even if it only grabs their attention for 2 or 3 seconds and they just stop to get a nice picture, that alone would be worth carrying a little bit extra weight. So we got 2 more cams to go. It's 5 p.m. I'm up on top of this big ridge and I'm supposed to loop around the front. And then there's been sign everywhere. It's been hard not to stop and drop a cam every 10 minutes. But most of the area I've come through thus far, I'm going to be backtracking through so I can always lay cams there on my way out. So anyways, keep covering the ground, see what I can find. All right, I'm probably about a mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile from where I set that last cam. And if that was on like the front of the ridge, I'm now kind of off the end and the back of the far end of the ridge. And essentially just up above me here, the hill goes up and breaks over that way. And there's kind of like a collection of small game trails that all funnel right into here. Cam is right there, a little bit of salt. And then this kind of opens up into here. There's a bit of a burn kind of over there. One more time. That's the setup for cam number 2. One more to go, and we're going to start making our way back to the quad. It's about 6 p.m. now. Well, that makes 3 for 3. I just bumped a doe with a couple of fawns. You can still hear her huffing. Hang on. Yeah, she's bounding just over there. So 3 scouting trips this year, bumped 3 deer. Not a bad record so far. That was her huffing just as I started walking my way out of here. All right, last cam is set. So this one I actually scouted on my way in. There was tracks and shit all over the place leading up to this little crossing. There's a game trail coming here, little creek coming down, game trail keeps going on. Set a bit of salt here and got the cam kind of set up at an angle. Crossing goes up, nice little meadow here, and then behind kind of goes back into some thick timber. I also want to say, typically I bring my Jetboil so I can have a cup of coffee, but today I lugged this Starbucks thing in instead because I figured it was lighter than the Jetboil and the other stuff. And this thing is so insanely delicious right now. It's almost 7 o'clock. Still got about an hour hike back to the quad, half an hour quad, back to the truck, 4-hour drive to home. Should be home sometime between midnight and 1 a.m. Well, that makes 2 bumped deer for the trip. That was another little doe just on my way out. Good sign. All right, Saturday morning, we got back last night around 12:30 or 1. Couple takeaways from yesterday. That drive was a bit much for a single day. So I think I drove 9 hours, quadded for an hour. So there's 10 hours. You only have so many hours left in the day. And I think in total, I hiked 7 miles, which is maybe 11 or 12 kilometers. And I would say it was moderate hiking. Like there was one pretty big down and up, and the rest was all like little hills and stuff. So like pretty tolerable, and probably only had a 40-pound pack. So totally doable. Now, I am extremely excited about that location. I think it's one of the best locations I've found so far. I found very little to no sign of any hunting pressure. A couple really old fire pits that could have been as old as from 10 years ago. And there was tracks all over the place, shit all over the place, tons of bear signs. So I think I might rifle hunt that location instead of archery hunting, just because I hunt solo and safety's gotta come first. Now another note is I'm almost positive I forgot to turn on one of my cameras. And that's one of the nice things. It's kind of like a crescent shaped ridge. And I've kind of got 2 cams, one to one end, one on the front, and then a third one off the back. And it's the third one off the back that I'm pretty sure I forgot to turn on. But I also feel pretty confident, like if there's deer up there and they're making their way around, like all the game trails are really well beaten down in that kind of subalpine region.
And so I feel like I'm gonna end up probably getting a picture of them on one of the other 2 cameras anyways. Now, to finish the thought that I kind of interrupted myself on, I'm really excited about that location, but I think it's gonna have to be an overnight location. I think I need to go in the morning, get set up on that front ridge, spend the night there, hunt that ridge early in the morning, and then there's another big long ridge that kind of breaks off of the crescent to the kind of northwest, and it's all that broken meadowy subalpine, like looks fantastic for mule deer, little kind of water holes here and there. And I want a whole day. It's basically about another 4 or 5 miles to get to the end of that far ridge, and I want a whole day to hike all the way out, and then on the way back kind of set cams. So I may do an overnight mission sometime in the middle of the summer, just to get the rest of the cams set up, and then really focus on those 2 locations, maybe try to find a 3rd location. But overall, super successful trip. I also want to spend some time developing that region for bear hunting, because there was an ungodly amount of bear sign up there, and fresh, like just fresh shit everywhere. I'm just shocked I didn't run into a bear. And I'm not, I mean, differentiating bear shit is not my forte, and I'm not wholly convinced that there wasn't some grizzly shit that I was looking at, and it is grizzly winter range for sure. It's designated as such, which means it's, you know, at least technically very favorable for the environment that they're looking for. But yeah, super excited, great day, just underestimated the drive a little bit. And it was really the logging road portion. It was about an hour and a half, and the last 45 minutes, you're just creeping along at 10, 15 kilometers an hour, because I'm towing a trailer with the quad, and the kind of road deteriorates to a point where it's like, I'm not gonna beat the shit out of my gear just to save 10 minutes. So that is what it is. But the road was in great condition structurally. You know, they fixed all the repairs from the floods a few years ago, and I'll definitely be able to get back in there in October, which is kind of when I'm hoping to go in there, because I think it will be late enough that we'll be starting to see rut activity, but early enough that the snow won't have pushed them down to lower elevations. I also plan to get in there early September, maybe for bow season, take some bear spray with me, which I hate doing, but anyways, that's a topic for another podcast. So there's going to be a little bit of a break in the vlogs, because I leave for Europe for 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of July, so no vlogs. I'll be home for 2 weeks before sheep. If I can get out for some scouting, I'll make some more episodes, and then I leave for sheep August 1st, which we can get into and talk more about later. Couple quick kind of house cleaning items. This is going to come out on Monday. The Thursday following that, so 3 or 4 days after you see this, my big binocular review is coming out. I'm going to be raffling off a very nice pair of binoculars. In order to participate in that raffle, you got to be a member of mine for reviews. So I always kind of throw in a little plug, but we're up to 193 members right now. Super positive community. You can buy raffle tickets. If you buy a lifetime membership, you get entered to win monthly prizes. Come on over, mindful-reviews.com. Other than that, if you could like, comment, share, subscribe. The vlogs have actually been getting a ton of views. I'm super impressed. I didn't think they would be this popular, so you guys tell me what you like. I'll keep making it. Clearly you like this kind of stuff, so get ready for a ton more content. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.